Thank you so much for speaking with me. I really wanted to talk about, we jump a little bit with the ages, and we're now at the point where Billy is at that age where he could age out of the foster care system. And I wanted to talk about what was the importance of setting the script within that age period.
Asher sure did grow up fast, and they all did, and so we couldn't not acknowledge the fact that these kids were growing fast. So it really kind of like came to us like being true to the foster experience, and talking to people who were foster parents or had been in the foster system, and really about, in particular, one parent talking about that being a real fear for people he knew. And so we built that in pretty early on, and it just created like a nice core tension for a foster care story.
I just thought that was the smartest thing that, Henry did naturally from the beginning is, from that first film, you have a character who is so desperate to find family, and he gets it by the end of the movie from an unlikely source. And then in this movie, you get to cut to him, and now that he has the thing he wants, he's so terrified of losing it that it threatens to break everything. It just felt like the best character crisis for him to go through. So kudos. Those are like awesome choices.
Yeah, and that was like, that was the kind of first thing we had knowing as we developed the sequel. We knew we wanted to tell that story, just how to tell it the best way with fun magical creatures.
Right. So what I love is that this tends to be family versus family. You have the daughters in this. What was the importance of, there's a lot of mythology that you could have picked from, the importance of those characters.
Importance of the Daughters of Atlas, but basically they are these three sisters who their fortunes and their legacy were taken from them by the wizard. So we get to, kind of play with these heroes that are, with the villains that are, they're motivated by a great and very personal loss. And now they have a moment where they're trying to rectify that. And it's kind of a nice mirror for, Billy, who, he's been motivated his entire life by loss, by missing something. So there's a nice, symmetry between what they're both going through. And I would say from the point of view of both, from the villains and the heroes, both doing things to kind of save their family.
Yeah.
They're just doing it the wrong way.
And another just nice, a nice thing that having these villains in our movie does is the story about these kids who've been given superpowers, and they frankly, even Philadelphia doesn't feel like they deserve them. And it's about villains coming in and actually asking that question and taking their powers. If I spoiled something there, maybe put that in.
Can you talk about writing within that gray line? Because even though you can say they're villains, they're really not. Everyone has a purpose for what they're doing.
Correct. What was the question?
So the question is kind of that gray line of writing.
I mean, I think essentially you don't write them as villains. You write them just like they are the heroes of their own story. And I think there's a great moment in this movie where, at least for me, Hespera, the eldest sister and daughter, questions Billy at a picnic table and says, like, if a thief drops coins on the ground and you came out and picked them up, do you still think you deserve that money if it's not yours? And it's a great moment because it really makes you think, well, Billy doesn't really maybe deserve this, and we've only seen evidence to back that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, and them, like from their story, things were stolen from them, and they deserve to get it back. The question is, how far are they willing to go, and will they cross the line into true villainy to do it? And the answer is some of them will.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Will the others think better?
That's the fun of having the three of them, is they all approach it differently.
Also, what's really interesting that I love is the fact that this is a family movie and you have elements that you would with Billy is kind of different than, say, when he's Shazam. Can you talk about that approach? Do you tend to write them differently? Because the world perceives them differently.
I write them fully differently. I really write them the same. I think what happens is when Billy transforms into Shazam, though, there is a release in him and a freedom in him that he doesn't feel in his normal state, that he can actually have all these powers and be joyful and so there, I think you see that on the screen with Zach coming to life, but I never write them differently. It's just usually that when Billy is in his kid's body, he's contending with things that just aren't necessarily as fun, and he's a little more guarded. So it's almost like Shazam is his natural state that he has to rectify with his childlike state.
And the joy is he doesn't really change. You know, it's like if he suddenly said Shazam and became a perfect chisel-jawed hero who never does anything wrong, he'd be the most boring character of all time. But he is a teenager who is barely managing his teenage body, who now has the power of the gods in him. And is a little bit arrogant and funny and all those things. And now he gets to fumble through life lessons with a superhero body. It's what makes you want to watch it. It's really compelling.
Right. Can you quickly talk about balancing the adults and the children in regards to humor and the kind of the subtext?
Yeah.
All ages or not.
Oh, interesting. I don't really write. I just write what I think is funny. And if it's funny, I laugh at really dumb humor all the time, and kids laugh at really sophisticated humor all the time. So I just kind of write what I think is funny and what the characters would do.
Yeah, and as long as you're not straying into hard R territory for this title, then you're all good.
Yeah, we get one F-bomb, and we use.
Wonderful.
Well, it has to be said a certain way, and it can't be the action, it's the whole thing. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you
very much.